Have you ever had a lemon pie that wasn't a lemon meringue pie? Hey, welcome back to Vintage Recipe Hero. This week we are making a sliced lemon pie, which is, as the name suggests, a pie with slices of lemon inside of it. I've never had a lemon pie personally that wasn't a lemon meringue pie or a lemon curd pie or some sort of lemony custard filling, and I don't even know if I've had that third type of pie before. Now this week I did things a little differently because I actually made the final product before filming the first shot, which usually I film the first shot with all the ingredients, but you are gonna have to wait until the end of the video to see how the sliced lemons did in this pie and what it's going to taste like, because I've never tried this pie before either. I do recommend baking this pie on a sheet tray. You can see I had lots of dripping going on. The filling for this pie is quite liquid. So bake it on a sheet tray. Use whatever pastry you want. I've provided a recipe for just a basic pastry that you can use for sweet pies or quiche, but you could even use a frozen crust if you wanted to. If you got a frozen crust lying around, you can make this pie tonight. Let's get started. Let's start with the pie dough. Add your flour, salt, and sugar to a large bowl and whisk to mix. Next, cut up your chilled unsalted butter into cubes and place inside your flour bowl. Repeat the same process with the shortening. Now, your goal is to pinch and break the butter and shortening cubes into little pea-sized pieces, working it into the flour without melting it into the flour. The reason your butter and shortening must be cold is so that it can maintain these pea shapes throughout the dough, which will give us flaky pastry when baked. Next, crack 2 eggs into a bowl or measuring cup and add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Mix gently. Make a well in your flour bowl and pour in the egg mixture. Get a cup of ice water and, adding a little bit at a time, gently work it into the flour mixture until your dough comes together when pressed. I personally would add about 2 to 3 tablespoons each time I need to add more water to the dough. Now your hands are going to get messy and sticky during this part, but try not to rub them and clean them off until the end. The more we rub our fingers and put those bits back into the dough, the more that gluten gets developed and creates a tough dough, which we don't want. When you think you're finished, you may then scrub your hands and get all the dough bits off. When your dough starts to push together like this, that's a good indication that it might be done. However, be careful and look out for some flour pockets at the bottom. We want to make sure the dough just comes together, but that it's not too crumbly, or else it won't hold the shape of a crust. Now we're going to divide this into 2 because actually we only need half of this dough recipe for this pie. So we're going to ball and puck this half of the dough, and we're going to put this into the fridge to use for our crust. With the other half of the dough, we can either make another pie today or tomorrow. If that's the case, we'll also put it in the fridge. Or if you're not planning to make another pie in the near future, you can put the other half of this dough recipe into your freezer for 1 to 2 months. Just check it for freezer burn before using it. Why I flatten my dough balls into pucks before refrigerating them to chill is so that they chill quicker. Less thick that your dough is, the quicker it will chill. All right, next we're gonna add our sugar, our flour, our little pinch of salt, and whisk that together in a medium-sized bowl. This is going to be the pie filling. And we also have to add our boiling water and mix that in. Should look like this when you're finished. Now, the lemon part of the lemon pie. We're going to zest 1 lemon. I've noticed in retro recipes that they often only zest one of the fruit that they're using. We're going to add this zest into our filling mixture, though I'm not sure why we don't zest all of the lemons, because in my opinion, that would make it taste even better. But I'm following the recipe verbatim. So next, we're going to cut the skin off of this lemon or any bits that are bad. This is how I recommend cutting it off. You don't want that white pith in your pie because it's quite bitter. And we're going to slice these lemons as thinly as possible, as close to paper thin or Bristol board thin as you can get. These are going to melt down in the pie and make it really, really delicious. Just make sure to check for seeds before you add them into the filling. If you find any seeds or if you find big membrane bits, just pull them off and throw them out. And we have to repeat this with lemon 2 and 3, which we are not zesting for no discernible reason. Ooh, this one was really seedy. And let's get over with number 3 so we can get back to the pie. Okay, all these slices are going into our lemon sugar mixture. Ooh, mix that up, and we are ready to get our chilled crust out of the fridge and start rolling it out. Make sure to flour your counter. Now, the other half of my pie dough I put in the freezer. So you're going to take your 1/2 of pie dough and you're going to have that for top crust and bottom crust. I normally like to pre-shape my dough into a round shape before I roll it into a rounder shape. I think that it gives you a good head start. Try your best to create a circular piece of dough, but if you can't get it that circular, that's fine because we will be trimming off the edges anyways. Be careful about flouring your rolling pin. It is easier to flour your rolling pin an extra time to pick up your pie dough and move it around as I'm doing right now than it is to try and unstick stuck dough. We want this shell to be a little bit bigger than the circumference of our pie dish because it needs to not only lay flat but also go up on the edges. That looks about the right size. So a handy tip for this is to actually roll it into your rolling pin, dusting off any excess flour because that's not very tasty. And then you can just unroll it into your pie plate. Ta-da! Now it does not say to prick the bottom of this crust, so we're not going to do that. We are going to instead just move on to rolling our top crust out. Alright, set your top crust aside. It's time to pour the filling into this bottom crust. And I was not kidding at the beginning of this video when I told you it is liquid. This is a liquid pie fill. And now you're going to put little knobs of butter, about 2 tablespoons worth, over the top of this pie. This is going to make it extra delicious. think I put a little more than 2 tablespoons on mine. Okay, now we're gonna roll the top crust over. And be careful, it's very liquidy. I am personally gonna push all around here just to stick the top and bottom together. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut off the excess dough. But don't throw out the excess dough. What I always do with excess dough like this is I then rolled this into a ball. I put a tablespoon of brown sugar in it, folded it over like an empanada, and I baked that at the same time. Never throw out your excess dough. A little brown sugar, a little piece of fruit, or a tablespoon of jam, and you have another alternate dessert. And then they did not say this in the recipe, but I'm also going to push the edges of this with a fork because the filling is so liquidy that I don't want it to pop out of my pie. Plus, I think that the fork tines make a nice pattern. And again, they didn't say to do this. This is just me being careful. I'm cutting some steam holes in the top of my pie. And again, they didn't say to do this, but I am brushing the top of my pastry with some milk. You can also use egg. This is just gonna make it nice and brown. I'm doing this just because I know that this dough personally does need a little extra help to make it nice and dark. And I'm placing this on a sheet tray, which is also not mentioned in the book, but did you see this filling? Look at that, it's waving. We need this on a sheet tray. This is gonna spill. This is the finished masterpiece, gorgeous golden lemon pie. Okay, either you've waited long enough or you just skipped ahead to the end to see how it tastes, but I'm gonna slice this pie now. Okay, let's slice this pie. It says serve warm and this pie is still warm, so that is perfect. I don't have a pie server or cake server thing, so we are just gonna try and get it out with my handy knife. Oh my. Oh. Wow. What the? Oh, this is like magic. Oh, hello, forks. This is like magic. Oh my goodness. I put this pie on that sheet tray you saw earlier to bake because it was literally liquid. When I was putting the pie in the oven, you can see through the top crust, it was like waving. It was liquid. Now look. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, I am excited to try this pie. Heat test. Oh my God. That is the most lemony pie I've ever had in my whole life. I can't even describe how good this is because I thought it was gonna be crap, to be honest. I thought, oh, just those slices of lemon with a bit of sugar and water and flour. That's either gonna be like stodgy or the lemons are gonna be way too tart and you're just gonna be chewing on, you know, the little membranes. But this is like the elevated version of that packet lemon pie fill you can get with real little soft bits of lemon in it. I think that this crust, not to toot my own horn, was a good choice because this pie, while quite tart, is also quite sweet. I mean, it's lemons and sugar, the filling. So to have a crust that's more neutral, I think is a nice choice, but you do you. I probably rate it 8 out of 10. Sliced lemon pie, my new favorite lemon pie. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see a new retro recipe made each week, or if you want to see my fiance trying all these recipes when he has no idea what is in them. Thanks, see you next week, bye.